Hey there. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video about our first grade curriculum. For most of the part of this presentation, I will be sharing a slideshow with you. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now. So welcome to first grade. Again, here we are about 2 months in. And now that we've sort of gotten our routines moving, I thought it would be a great chance to talk to you a little bit about some of the curriculum that we will be working through this school year. So first, a little bit about me. This is normally what I present at curriculum night. So I grew up in Spokane, Washington. So this is a picture up here in the corner of Spokane, and it's lilacs and Riverfront Park. They then went on to go to Western Washington University, and I majored in Spanish and elementary education. So that's where I got my teaching degree. And then I went on and got my master's degree in curriculum and instruction with a focus on literacy there at the University of Washington. This is a picture of Halloween, our pumpkin parade a few years back at BF Day. This is my family. Again, a few years ago, this picture was taken, but this is my husband, Caleb, and this is my older daughter, Ella, who is now a sophomore at Ballard High School. And this is my younger daughter, Audrey, who is a 6th grader at Hamilton. Our daily schedule obviously looks pretty different from a regular school time, but by now you kind of have seen the cadence of our day. We always start each day with a live whole group meeting. We then take time to do independent work on Seesaw. Then we have an additional small group meeting time, followed by time to work on handwriting, vocabulary, or science, a recess and lunch break, time for PE, art, life skills with Mr. Taylor, and then students have 2 days a week where they have a reading small group in the afternoon, along with independent reading time. So in first grade, we practice a lot. We are slowly trying to build kids' stamina and ability to work independently on their reading, writing, thinking, mathematically, speaking, all of the skills that make for a well-rounded kiddo. At BF Day, we have a policy that we generally do not assign homework, grades K to 3, but we do ask students to work on additional reading for 20 minutes a day outside of the daily school hours. So that's that reading pocket that I've sent home with each of your kids. Students are assessed regularly, and I do that in very informal ways most of the time, and sometimes formal ways. During the school year, you can expect 3 report cards and a conference in November, and I will be sending you a Sign Up Genius so you can reserve a time so that we can talk together. Conferences are one of my favorite things. I love talking about kids. In our classroom, obviously, our classroom is virtual right now, so we still, though, talk about expectations and being a team. We stay positive, we focus on giving second chances and expecting the best in everyone. However, if a student does have repetitive behaviors that need attention, you can expect that I would reach out to both you and obviously the kiddo. Normally, we have field trips during the school year, so we'll just have to see how everything plays out and if we'll have the opportunity to do anything like that in the springtime. Now I'm going to get into curriculum a little bit. So a few years ago, Seattle schools adopted a new language arts curriculum called Collaborative Literacy. There are 3 components to this curriculum. So the orange part over here is called Being a Reader, and it focuses primarily on very discrete reading skills. The green program is called Making Meaning, and it is more focused on comprehension skills. And finally, the purple section over here is called Being a Writer, and obviously it focuses on the teaching and learning of writing. In first grade, kids explore fiction, expository nonfiction, and narrative nonfiction. In writing, we focus on narrative, informational, and opinion writing. Other components obviously include independent reading every day, handwriting, vocabulary, skills practice such as grammar, and phonics instruction. So I always like to take a moment to show parents some writing samples that are very indicative of first grade. So please keep in mind that all students are on sort of a continuum of development. This means that at any given time, first graders are all over the place in terms of what their writing might look like. This is a traditional beginning of the year sample for a first grade writer. You can see that they're relying a lot on the picture to tell their story. They're spelling some sight words correctly. They're still using quite a few capitalized letters in their words, and they may or may not have an understanding of punctuation. This example is showing a first grader who is more comfortable writing over multiple pages. We call these booklets. They have a better sense of beginning, middle, and end to their writing. And they have a greater handle on their actual handwriting. So you'll notice that these are lowercase letters and capitals to begin the sentences. Toward the end of the year, you'll notice that the handwriting shrinks. It becomes way more controlled. Again, writing over multiple pages, right? They are spelling most of their sight words correctly and using fairly accurate, invented, or what we call best guess spelling for more difficult words. And they're being a lot more consistent with their use of capital and lowercase letters. It is really important to practice when kids are learning to write. Writing tends to be one of the tougher things in first grade, so the more practice they get, the better they feel about being confident and capable in taking risks, because at the end of the day, writing is very personal. And it does take some bravery to put themselves out there and try to spell those tricky words and put their ideas on paper. So reading works the same way. Reading is definitely on a continuum as well. These are indicative of beginning, middle, and end year first graders. But again, keep in mind that all kids are different and kids will be all over the place this time of year and as we move forward. This is indicative of a beginning of the year book. This reader is probably around a D or an E. I say those letters to give you an idea of how they correlate. Please keep in mind that those reading levels were really created for teachers, not so much for kids. We use them when we talk to kids about their reading just to guide them toward books that are going to help them feel successful. We always want kids to be practicing with books that they can read independently with 98% accuracy. When I teach them in their small groups, I teach them with books that are more at like a 95% accuracy, because I want them to be finding words that they may not be sure of, but also not feeling frustrated and having the book be too hard. That's why we call it just right. So this reader would have a good handle on their vowel sounds, their digraphs, which are like CH, TH, etc., and likely sneaky or silent E. Mid-year, this is what a book might look like. So at this level, kids are going to need to have a better handle on their blends, as well as some more difficult vowel pairs. And finally, here's another example of a mid-year first grader and what their text might look like. Here again are some benchmarks, and I show these to you just so you can get an idea. Again, it's really important to celebrate kids where they're at. So here we are in the month of November for grade 1, and 3 would be at grade level. So at grade level is approximately a level F or level G, and you can see where the levels lie. Now, if your child is at a 1 or a 2, don't despair or stress out. They will continue to grow, but we just keep these as a benchmark, sort of like at the back of our mind. Now, if your student is above grade level, this means that they are going to need some more work on deeper comprehension skills and vocabulary building skills. Remember, reading isn't just about being able to read or decode the words. It's also the ability to make meaning on a deeper level. So it's not uncommon to have first graders that can read at a second or even a third grade or fourth grade level. They can read the words, but they really don't have an understanding of the story or the text. So this should look familiar to you. This is the Read Everyday folder that came home in your child's book pocket. Now, my biggest goal as a teacher is to grow confident kids who love to read. I want your child to become a lifelong reader. So I put a lot of effort into picking out books at this stage of the game that I think are going to help them feel successful. The goal is to read up to 20 minutes a day, and to help the kids practice strategies that they have learned with me in either whole group or small group instruction. I get a lot of questions about whether you should help kids with words. It's really important to try to help kids take chances on their own. So you might ask things like, what can you try? Or what does this word start with? Or look at the picture. What do you think this might say? Helping give kids sort of a bridge to that unknown word. If they're really truly stuck, you can give the word to them, but it's important to have a little bit of productive struggle when they're practicing alongside you. So let's move on to math. In math, we have a lot of content that we cover in first grade. So here are some of the units of study. We want kids to be able to read, write, and count to 120. Most kids can count this far, but it gets a little trickier when they need to write the words or read the words. We want first graders to be able to add and subtract within 20 and have lots of strategies to do so. We want first graders to understand place value and how to compare numbers. First graders learn how to tell time to the hour and the half hour. First graders also learn about plane and solid figures. They learn about equality, which is sort of a first grade fancy way of doing some algebra. First graders also learn strategies to solve addition and subtraction story problems. We also move on to solving double-digit addition and subtraction problems. In first grade, we want students to be fluent, so that doesn't necessarily mean speedy, but able to work fluently with addition and subtraction facts to 10. Moving on, we also work on non-standard measurement, partitioning shapes, this is pretty much fractions, and data collection and making graphs. We do bar graphs and picture graphs in first grade. We use Math in Focus as our primary curriculum in math because it is the district adopted curriculum. However, we often supplement our teaching with a lot of other great resources, including Engage New York and some other teacher-made materials that you will see along the way. In social studies, first graders study needs and wants, their community, maps, and for social and emotional learning, we use positive discipline and second step materials, as well as some of the features of the Ruler social emotional curriculum. Science is a little bit of a tricky spot right now because the district is in between adoption of new curriculum materials and they are slowly rolling it out. So right now we are doing a unit on light and sound, and we are using Amplify and Mystery Science materials. We will continue to be adding new units of study as we get more materials available to us, and we will communicate with you what those units of study will be. So a little bit more about positive discipline. Again, we are not in a classroom setting, but I do think it's important to sort of know the backbone of positive discipline and sort of the philosophy, which is that people in general, kids and adults, seek a sense of belonging and significance, and that when kids feel like they belong and matter, that they are better able to learn. So you can expect from me lots of efforts towards helping the kids in our classroom feel like they belong and they matter and they're important. So as far as communication goes, please continue to look for our weekly newsletter on Friday from our first grade team. I will be sending you a Sign Up Genius to sign up for a November conference, as well as I will be communicating with you an individual assessment time for your student in the next coming week. You probably have noticed that my primary communication at this point is through email. So thank you so much for checking your email regularly to make sure you haven't missed anything. Again, please make sure I have your email correct. I'm pretty sure I do from all of you. Don't forget to sign up for a conference, and please know that I'm always available and here for you if you have any questions or concerns. I want to thank you so much for supporting your kids during this time. This has been very strange, but I feel so grateful. And I love each one of your kids. They're pretty great and pretty amazing. And I can't wait till I can give them all a hug in person. So thank you so much. Thanks for taking the time to learn a little bit about first grade. And I will talk to you all soon.